the flex, bumping Justin Bieber, the fever, head left, she know what she need, or she blessed, giving you my best, yeah, I got my heart on my sleeve.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another MX vs ATV Legends video. And today, guys, we have a brand new game update here in MX Bikes, more specifically focused on the Element bike pack that we saw come out 5 days ago. And I think that's quite interesting. I've been on these pit bikes for almost every single day since that video, and I don't play this game much. You guys know I started my channel on MX vs ATV Legends, but just haven't played the game much the last 2 years. And so the fact that they made an update that actually made me want to get on the game is that's a big deal in my opinion. And the pit bikes, they've been pretty fun to play. I've been trying some other stuff. I tried the 500. I wasn't really a fan of the 500, I'm not gonna lie, but the two pit bikes, the 50cc and the 110, have been pretty damn fun to ride. So today we're gonna be talking about this update, just simple stuff. I'm not going into insane detail because the update really isn't that crazy anyway, but I just thought I'd get back on this game, talk about some stuff, and maybe, you know, I don't know, get more people to be aware about it. Just in case you guys are looking to get an arcade motocross game. Because listen, I know we love our simulators over here, and damn, I just milli rocked that tire. Yeah, F you, tire. No one likes you. Anyways, I know people love their simulators in my community. I get it. And as much as I've hated on this game in the past, there's still some fun to be had, okay? There is some fun to be had. And I think these pit bikes are a step in the right direction, because at the end of the day, I want this game to improve, okay? I do, genuinely. I don't want it to go the other direction, and, you know, I kind of feel bad for y'all console players, bro. I feel bad for you guys. So if I can get on here and talk about some updates and criticize some stuff and maybe make this game better, I think that's a plus all around for the community. So hit that like button, guys. We're on the road to 100,000 subs. We just hit 97,000, so thank you guys so much. And obviously hit that like button if you guys do enjoy the video. But today we're going to be going through the patch notes, talking about stuff that was changed. Is it good? Is it bad? Are these pit bikes amazing? Did they make them way better? I don't know, guys. You're going to have to stay tuned. Let's get right into the video, boys. All right, boys. So first thing on the patch notes, it says pit bikes. Lower the amount of slip required to break the rear tire loose, especially for the MX-50. Well, that's good because we're on the 50cc right now. Let's test it, boys. So does the back end slide more? Now, that's a weird reset that just happened there. I don't like that. Anyways, when they say this, they basically mean the rear tire is gonna slip more. Okay, you're not gonna have to turn as sharp now to slip this rear out. And the reason that they're doing this, in my guess, is because they want the bike to turn sharper. Now, with it being the smallest bike in the pack, that would make sense. But you guys probably know by now, or if you guys have watched my old Legends videos, even my first video I made when I played MX Simulator, I talked about Wyndham's early gameplay. That was literally my first video on the channel, and I talked about how the slipping mechanic in this game will be the downfall of it. And I don't know, I could change my mind now. I do think this game would be way more popular if that mechanic didn't really exist as much as it does these days. But honestly, I think this was a good change. I mean, the mechanic's already in the game, so I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But I think for this bike to turn sharper, that's why they did it. It's a good change. Nothing wrong with that. I kind of feel it a little bit. Like, it's not a crazy noticeable thing. It doesn't ruin the bikes for me. I don't understand why the game's resetting me so often. I'm barely going off the track. So that's a negative. Please fix that game. That would actually piss me off. And then this also, why is my... Anyways, before I get too mad, we're now going to move to the next point, which is they adjusted the engine and clutch to give the 50cc more bottom end power, okay? So from what I know, bottom end power is basically the acceleration at low RPMs. So that's kind of hard to wrap your brain around. Basically, they gave the bike more power. That's what I'm gonna say from now on. I'm not gonna talk about bottom end, top, whatever the hell. No one really cares. The bike has more power. Now, they also made a change to the tuning parts, which could also affect how much power this bike has, technically, because we do have it on the tuning part that gives us the most top end speed. So I don't know. The bike does feel like it has more power, and the reason that I know that is because I did play this track in my video initially when the bikes came out, and I was casing a lot of jumps, okay? And now, while mostly it was skill issue, and even here I'm still casing jumps because I suck at the game, it does feel like the bikes are faster. So, just so you guys know that, if you guys have been playing the 50cc, the bike should be a bit quicker. It should have a bit more acceleration in those lower RPMs. So, I think that's a good addition. I think when these bikes released, I was a bit skeptical about how fast were they going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be extremely unrealistic, like these bikes were going to go 1,000 miles per hour, but I also didn't know if they were going to go super realistic and the bike wouldn't work on any, you know, track in the game, because there are 4 pit bike tracks, but I think a lot of people would, you know, maybe want to do a race with these bikes on, you know, one of the pro motocross tracks or even supercross. And if the bike just doesn't have enough power to do it, I mean, it's just not that fun, you know? You're going to be casing everything, singling every jump, so I think it's good they have a little bit more power, and it seems like these jumps are a lot easier to clear, and it's more consistent. So overall, I think that's a pretty good change. All right, we changed to the Fox Raceway pit bike track now, and we're going to talk about this next change that they made, which is they lowered the wreck and near wreck thresholds, okay? Sounds confusing. Basically what that means, if you're not a nerd, is that they made wrecking easier on these bikes, okay? So if you guys know what the near wreck animation is, that's basically where you case a jump and your arms go flailing, or your like legs fly off the back of the bike. You do a little bit of a Superman. So I'm gonna see if I can demonstrate that animation for you guys right here. You guys see there, see how I kind of twitched on the bike? And what happens when this animation deploys is you lose the ability to like accelerate the bike. So you're basically losing time. You're like halfway crashing. And then they also say that they made it easier to just crash in general. Now, I haven't crashed much on this bike in this video so far. Granted, I haven't made a ton of mistakes because I'm him, okay? Anyways, so that's another change. I can kind of feel it. I've gotten the threshold animation a couple times there. You guys can see the arm flew off the bike when we hit that rail. So that makes more sense. Obviously, you don't want the bikes to be super easy. You don't want there to be a skill gap. So I like that. Good change. And then the final physics change that they made in the patch notes is that turning while in reverse is now easier, smoother, and more effective on all MX bikes. So just to show you right here, if you're trying to back out of a weird situation, maybe you're stuck in a banner, which does happen a lot in this game since all this stuff has collisions, it is important to back up. So good they added that. There's probably a player that complained about that, and so they just added it in there. It makes sense. It's kind of I don't know. It's not a big change. But I think overall, as far as all the physics changes we have here, there's not a ton that was done. There were a few minor things, and I would have to explore the tuning part change a little bit more. I think that could be the biggest change they made, but that's something I'd have to dive into a little bit more. But with my bike's fully tuned, it doesn't feel a ton different, other than more power and a little bit more slip in the rear. I mean, it's kind of the same bike. And so that kind of leads us into the next change they say that they made, which is the sound of the bikes, okay? So this is exactly what it says, bar for bar. It says, they made general improvements to the engine audio of the 500, 110, and 50cc. Now, we're on the 50cc right now, obviously. This is a 2-stroke, okay? Now, when I made my video 5 days ago, there's a little part in it where I just listened to the way this bike sounds. So I'm going to play that clip right now, and then I'm going to play what the bike sounds like now. I don't know why I just T-pose at the end there, but that's the comparison of the sounds. And listen, they said the way that they said it was they made general improvements, which basically means we did not do shit. Now, they definitely did something. I can hear a difference. I'm not exactly sure if the way that the sounds are composed has been made different, or if it's the pitch of the sound. To me, it sounds like the pitch has been made lighter. It doesn't sound as 4-strokey, aka the sound doesn't sound as deep. It sounds more like a 2-stroke. But I mean, listen, 50cc's are an annoying bike to listen to anyway. The bike still sounds like a chainsaw, but would it sound much different if it was like a more realistic sound? I don't know. I don't. Honestly, I have no idea. I could see her nitpick this all I want, but it just feels like something they added in the patch notes that it's just not a big change. And maybe it was more for the 500cc or the 110. I feel like the 110 honestly didn't sound too bad. I have heard, though, looking on social media, because I've seen some Instagram reels of people on the 500, and the comments are just, people are pissed, bro. They absolutely hate the sound of that bike. And that's an important one to get right, bro. People are very passionate about the way that the 500cc sounds. It's a very interesting bike sound. It's a very cool bike sound in real life. So if you get it wrong in game, people are going to be pissed. But as far as this bike, you know, which is also a two-stroke like the 500, it's just not a really big change. It's almost like when they say general improvements, it's no different than someone who's 700 pounds saying, hey, I went from eating 18 Big Macs today to 10. It's a general improvement, right? Yeah, well, you're still going to die in 5 years, so it doesn't really matter, if that makes any sense. The sound is still bad. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Other than that, if you guys are looking in the menus of the game and you're trying to find a pitback track to ride, initially in my video that I made 5 days ago when the update first came out, there was a new tab called Pit Bike Tracks, and there was 3 tracks in the tab. And someone commented on the video and said, there's actually 4. You should have 4 Pit Bike Tracks. And I was like, what? I only have 3. It turned out I did have 4, but they did not add the Redbud Pit Bike Track to that list. So they added that recently. So if you guys did buy the 2024 Track Pass, you'll have 4 Pit Bike Tracks to ride. I'm about to get on that one here in a second. But I think that's a pretty cool addition. And, you know, obviously you want to know when you buy something that it actually exists in your game. So thank you, MXers ATV, for giving us what we bought. All right, boys, we are now on the Redbud Pit Bike Track, and we're also on the 500cc. I know people are going to ask in the video if I didn't put the bike in the video, because I haven't ridden this yet on camera. Now, obviously the sound is probably the only thing I'm really going to talk about here. I've actually ridden the bike off camera. I just don't like the way it handles. It feels, I don't know, it feels very odd. But every bike feels odd in this game because I don't like the physics. But the idle sound of this bike sounds pretty damn good. Okay, they got the idle right, which is pretty easy to get right because you could just take a real life audio file and put it in there because it's easy to put a bike idle and mix that into a... anyways, you guys understand if you understand. Let's ride it. Guys, listen to this. Listen to this limiter. That is horrific. That is horrific. And why is the bike so big? Like, I understand a 500cc is like a kind of a big bike, but it almost looks like my rider is a midge. It looks like they put a 6-year-old on a 500. I don't like this at all. This just feels cursed to me. I mean, the bogging sound is... I don't know, man. I don't know too much about how a 500 sounds. Like, I'm trying to rack my brain and try to remember. Dude, it sounds good idle. That's the thing. But it's like when you actually go and you hear the limiter, it just sounds horrific. I hate it. So that's my opinion on this bike sound. It's not good. I don't know what it was before. I don't remember. But after the update, no. It's still an L. So that's my analysis on this new update. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I think overall, though, they did make some improvements to the bikes. But overall, wasn't a lot of changes made. Seems like they just loaded the patch notes with stuff that, you know, is very wordy, but did it really affect anything? I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. I'm sleep, cuh.